You know what I'm saying? Drop a like, leave a comment, let me know you're in here. We finna have fun tonight.
What am y'all, back with another video. So today we're doing something I have not touched yet because I didn't know anything. I had my opinions, but more facts have come out. Diddy's been arrested and indicted, and we have an indictment that's online. But this isn't just gonna be about Diddy. This video is gonna show y'all how people are intentional bad actors, bad people, and lying to you. Because there's absolutely no reason that we have indictments that anybody can go and find on Google with a few types and a click and read on their own, and then they still have the unmitigated gall to get online and just say a bunch of nonsense. This is gonna do two things. This is gonna show how bad faith people are that pretend to have your best interests at heart. And then on top of that, you're gonna also learn that all of the information that people can ask and fucking find out on their own is all available to you. But if you don't believe anything, I don't know why you're on earth. So without further ado, let's get into the bullshit. So what we have here is justice.gov, where you can pull up indictments on whatever the fuck you're looking for, more than likely. This is Diddy's indictment, which is fucking the U.S. States District Court, Southern District of New York, sealed indictment, the United States versus Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka Diddy, aka PD, aka Love, which is already a sign that somebody is on some nonsense. We don't have the time, and I know y'all don't have the patience for us to read this entire indictment all the way through. So I'm just gonna highlight a few of the things that I think are vital for this video to get my point across, and then we're gonna watch somebody you all love and adore dearly, Mr. Dr. Umar Johnson, who staunchly came out and claimed that Diddy ain't do nothing but be freaky. So since Diddy did nothing but be freaky, also Boosie said this, and Faison Love, depending on how long this goes, we might get into them. But I want to get into Umar because I feel like he is the most disingenuous, dishonest liar out of everybody that claims to love and want to help black people. He doesn't seem to give a fuck about him. He just wants money and to act like black people are just never wrong and do nothing wrong at the end of the day. But we're going to hold our own accountable, right? If they're going to do something wrong, we should hold them accountable. That's how we get better. Count one, the racketeering is conspiracy. There's different bullet points for each of the things that fall into racketeering. I'm going to read the one I think is, I'm going to basically read what I think is pertinent. At all times relevant to this indictment, Sean Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka P. Diddy, aka all these names, the defendant engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse toward women and other individuals. This abuse was, at times, verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual. As part of his pattern of abuse, Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. At times, Combs and others acting at his direction made arrangements for women and commercial sex workers to fly to Combs' location. Combs ensured participation from the women by, among other things, obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. Continuing on, physical abuse by Sean Combs, blah, blah, blah. The defendant was recurrent and widely known on numerous occasions from at least in or about 2009 and continuing for years. Combs assaulted women by, among other things, striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them. These assaults were, at times, witnessed by others and included one instance at a Los Angeles hotel in or about March 2016, which was captured on video and later publicly reported, where Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman as she was attempting to leave. When a number of the hotel security staff intervened, Combs attempted to bribe the staff to ensure silence. Combs' violence was not limited to these women. It extended to his employees, witnesses to his abuse, and others. Now we're at count two, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. We're all the way down to 16 different counts and different instances of his criminality. So yeah, I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna read everything. The indictment's there for y'all to pull up. and I'm going to put it in the description. From at least in or about 2009 up to and including in or about 2018 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Sean Combs, the defendant, in and affecting interstate and foreign commerce, knowingly recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, provided, obtained, advertised, maintained, patronized, and solicited by any means a person knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact, that means of force, threats of force, fraud, and coercion as described in Title 18, United States Code, Section 1591, and any combination of such means would be used to cause the person to engage in a commercial sex act. And attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused the same, to wit, Combs recruited, enticed, harbored, and transported, and maintained a person as victim one, and attempted, aided, and abetted, and willfully caused victim one to engage in commercial sex acts, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact victim one was engaging in commercial sex acts as a result of force, fraud, and coercion. So, without further ado, our black scholarly intellectual PhD having black people saving godly next to in man, Dr. Umar Johnson is gonna tell us why he feels like this is just a sham and they're doing Diddy wrong just because he had a bunch of baby oil and shit.
Sean Puffy Combs' federal charges have little, if anything, to do with domestic abuse or pedophilia.
Now, what does that tell you how much he has to know? Now, what does that tell you how much this man knows about this indictment? He just named two things that pretty much don't have anything to do with the indictment. But all that does is tell us he don't give a fuck. He's just looking at what the fuck people saying online. I ain't even seen no pedophilia accusations against him. All I've seen is this shit. I've seen sex trafficking and fucking fraud and fucking sexual abuse and abuse, assault. I ain't seen nothing about pedophilia and domestic abuse. Why did those two words leave out his mouth? Nobody said anything about these two things. Except for probably a fringe group on social media, I guess. Or he's just a liar that didn't even really take in whatever he saw.
His major sex crime federally is he's being accused of transporting women across state lines to engage in sex. What we call prostitution. Not Casey, not the freak-offs, not underage girls, but prostitution. Why am I bringing this up? Because I don't support prostitution either.
If you don't support I won't go there. If he's engaging in prostitution and it's illegal, that's enough in itself. And since you didn't read the indictments, you didn't learn that he was doing far more than bringing in prostitutes. Far more. And if I can pull that up, you can too, for you to want to be the truth seeker, knowledge seeker guy.
I do not support men paying for the sugar box. I do not support black women having to sexually exploit their sugar box in order to pay their bills. With that being said, prostitution is the oldest female business on the planet Earth.
Too bad he's getting charged with more than just soliciting prostitutes.
Prostitution is the oldest female business on the planet Earth.
And all this does is show that you don't understand what sex trafficking is.
Prostitution is the oldest female business on the planet Earth.
Why does he do that? He always repeats shit that ain't even that poignant. It's like, why do you say the same thing 3 or 4 times as if that's going to make it more important? You still sound slow.
It is the sexual trafficking that Sean Puffy Combs is being accused of. Not domestic abuse, not freak-offs, not stomping out Cassie, not engaging in sex with underage women. It is interstate sexual trafficking. That is the charge. Why am I bringing this up?
Yes, tell us.
I'm bringing this up. Peace, God.
Keep the phone still.
Because when I listen to the news, they're not talking about the evidence against Sean Puffy Combs. When I listen to the news, they're not talking about the evidence of Sean Puffy Combs. When I listen to the news, I have yet to hear anybody give me a specific piece of interstate sex trafficking evidence against Sean Puffy Combs.
Did you look for it? Why do you think the Fed has to release every piece of evidence they have? What case is there before anybody's in a courtroom that you have the evidence put in front of you? Please tell me. All they do is tell out the juicy shit like having 1,000+ bottles of baby oil. That's what they do. They tell you the shit that sounds juicy enough to engage you, and then on your part, you should go look into it. Because I don't think that having a bunch of baby oil is a crime either. But in tandem with everything else he's done, it looks bad. You can collect knives all you want, but if there's a bunch of stabbings going on and you're implicated in them, then it looks a little different.
I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it for the low political IQ Negroes. I'm going to say it for the average political IQ Negroes. And I'm going to say it for the high IQ Negroes. I haven't seen or heard a single piece of evidence against Sean Puffy Combs. I ain't read it in the New York Times. I ain't read it in the Philadelphia Inquirer.
It's funny because all he's doing is a self-report that he doesn't dig deeper than a fucking news headline or report. That's all he's telling you right now. The indictment's out there. And it's been out there before he made this video. So what are you saying? You look for the headlines to give you every bit of information that you need? What the fuck?
I ain't heard it on CNN. I ain't seen it on headline news. Where is the
Nobody's been in court.
Evidence that Sean Puffy Combs engaged in interstate sex trafficking? I keep hearing about Cassie when I turn on the news. Why are we hearing about Cassie when Cassie has nothing to do with the federal indictment? I don't think any black man should have 1,000 bottles of baby oil. I don't think any black man needs 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
That's funny as shit.
But I haven't seen anywhere in federal law where owning 1,000 bottles of baby oil is a federal crime.
That is to put him out, put it out to be embarrassing, to make people question and look. But I feel like this is all just to make black people look like they're always a victim and always targeted, as if this is any different than anybody has. Any has some fucking sexual allegations, even fucking Weinstein, where they talked about the size of his shit and it looked weird and all that shit. They try to embarrass the person with the headlines. That's just how it goes.
Brothers and sisters, are you with me so far? Brothers and sisters, are you with me so far? Do you understand, overstand, and understand what the most requested black scholar in the world is saying right now?
He's really showing his scholar credentials right now.
Do you understand and overstand and understand what the most requested black scholar in the world is saying right now? Do you understand, overstand, and understand what the premier Pan-Africanist on the planet is saying to you right now? Baby oil is not a federal crime. Stomping out Cassie, he was not charged with a crime. The freak-offs are not crimes.
You don't know what it took to pull together the freak-off, sir. And according to the indictment, it was a lot of improprieties that made these freak-offs come together.
So why do we keep hearing about Cassie? Why do we keep hearing about baby oil?
Because you are looking at social media to give you all of the information instead of reliable sources like fucking federal indictments on their website. You ignored that and just listened to whatever the fuck was going on social media.
Why do we keep hearing about freak-offs? Where are the federal charges and why are the charges being sealed?
They are unsealed. Oh, man, help us.
Why did the feds seal the charges against Sean Puffy Combs?
They're not.
I'm going to tell you one reason why the feds sealed the charges.
Because everybody hates black people.
Against Sean Puffy Combs.
Because he's black and powerful.
One of the biggest reasons they sealed the charges against Sean Puffy Combs is because the evidence is probably weak.
Wow.
The evidence is probably weak. And because
from the Fed?
Because the evidence is probably weak that he is guilty of interstate sex trafficking, and because the evidence is probably weak that he is guilty of
This video could be 2 minutes shorter if he would stop repeating the same line over and over, bro. Damn.
Interstate sex trafficking, they had to seal the charges.
They're unsealed.
They had to hide the charges from you and I.
They're not hidden.
They had to hide the charges from you and I long enough for the public execution.
Or did they not have to build their case to make sure it's as tight as possible
to be carried out?
This guy, this is what I'm talking about. You're gonna see more of this in the future. Stay tuned. If you haven't checked out like my Donald Trump video, check that out. I'm gonna be doing more videos like that. The next one is gonna be Candace Owens, just so y'all know and prepared. And Umar might be after that. I don't know. I don't have as much lore on Umar, but I have to get it to make a good video. But Candace Owens is next on the menu. I don't like people that are doing things dishonestly and it feels like it's for money. I don't know if these people's motivation is money. I don't know if it's power. I don't know if it's fame. It's probably one, if not all three, a combination of those. But I don't like this level of dishonesty because people look to Umar for advice, guidance, understanding, reason, knowledge, all these things, and he gets up here and says all these things are being hidden and it's secret and the evidence is weak and blah blah blah. This is a federal indictment that just got handed to that man, and you're talking about evidence and nobody's been in court yet. I'm sure you understand how the law works. He's been indicted. These are all statements of fact. They have to prove it in court. He may or may not walk away, but at the end of the day, he's been accused of some heinous things. You seen what that man did on camera. I'm not gonna put anything past his behavior because of what we've heard from Diddy before this Cassie video surged. Before even he got with Cassie, there was a lot of improprieties being speaked on with Diddy. I'm not gonna put anything past the character that people have shown him to have and that he's shown himself to have. So until then and he's in court, I'm not letting him off the hook and I'm not defending him. I'm not gonna sit here and say he did something he didn't do, but what I am gonna say that this indictment has implicated him to do a lot of things that I think we will all find deplorable, and for you to defend him, I don't know if this is a defense, but to deflect away from the fact that you think evidence is weak just because you didn't read the fucking indictment that's unsealed, I'm not gonna hold you as somebody that knows some shit like a lot of your followers do. So if you donated, I'm sorry, but clearly he doesn't know what it takes to have knowledge and insight and wisdom. But if you made it to this point in this video, make sure you leave a like, comment, sub. If not one, then all three, and I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Peace.